Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Canadian Starship Saturday night live stream. Housekeeping duties out of the way. First of all, can you see me? Can you hear me? Let me know by putting a chat there in the chat, just like Ken has already done, saying good evening. Well, good evening, Ken. Glad that you're able to join me. Ken says, I can see you and hear you just fine, Andrew. Thank you so much. As always, it's really helpful for me to know that you are in the chat so I know who I'm talking to. And the best way for you to do that is to do just as Trek Mods has just done and said something in the chat, letting me know that they are here. Hello, ship heads. Welcome, Trek Mods, to the stream. Tonight, we are going to be getting into the masking on the 1400 scale Enterprise E. So I will have to do a little bit of explain. I've got some splaining to do because I am using the mask design masking set, the masking set from Mask Design. However, I didn't get the coloring right. That's on me. And I've gone through one set of outer ring panel masks. So we're going to redo that. Unfortunately, we're going to be redoing that by hand since I've used up those masks. So it's not a mask fault. It's me not getting the paint colors quite the way I want them. You could barely see the whole the paneling detail. And in two of the panels, you couldn't see them at all. So we're just going to redo that, going with the hand masking. Skull is here. Hello, Skull. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for letting me know that you are here. It's just nice knowing who I am talking to tonight. So I have, let me get this the right way so you see it properly. I've got my tea, Earl Grey, hot. I've got my blue 3M tape. I've got sharp number 11s. I've got metal straight edges, 3 different sizes. I've got a cutting mat that's a little bit of a lighter color, a bit more bright, so I can see the tape and what I'm doing a little bit better. So we are going to get at it with a sip of the tea, Earl Grey, hot, to get started. So let me throw my keyboard off to the side. Let me bring this ship over. Here she is. She wants to tip away from the screen right now. You might not be able to see because the studio lights are quite bright here, but we'll switch to the overhead cam so you can get a good look at her. Let's switch on over. There's the overhead cam. There she is. And it's this outer ring here that we need to take care of because, again, the masking worked fine. Let me get my face in here as well. The masking worked fine. I was able to get it to work properly. However, I didn't get a high enough contrast between the paneling paint and the base coat, so you couldn't see the individual panels properly. So don't worry, the masking works fine. It's just that I don't have any of these panel masks left, so we're going to revert to the good old tried and true 3M blue. Also, before I get started on that, I've got something to show you from the Enterprise D projects that I worked on today. So let me just catch up on the chat. Jordan is here saying, hey, Andrew. And we are 2 separate people. And Dash is here. Let me go. Can you mean Trunt officer? I have no idea what you mean there, but that's fine. So let me throw this on the bench here, and let me get something to show you. Okay. So what I have to show you on the Enterprise D is this. Not my face. That's not what I meant to do. I meant to hit that button. This. Okay, yes, you've seen this before. This is the pylon. But this is just the resin print. And many of us are concerned about the long-term durability of having the cells on just this resin piece. Now, these channels are here to be able to put wiring through, but I'm not quite happy with this. Let me grab the armature. And just walk through something here with you for a moment. So this is the armature. I am resitting the metal plate onto the lower secondary hull piece just because there was a little bit of, it wasn't sitting quite right. So I'm still working on that. So this is a little wobbly on here. Let's see. Ken says, I called in everyone from Discord. Okay, thank you. I did leave you a note there earlier on. Hello, I have a question. It's always been on my mind. What does the 2498, what does the 2498? I swear it changes, but I was curious. Okay. Yeah. Let me go here. So you're referring, let me see if I can get this right. You're referring to the numbers on here, right? That's my subscriber counter for YouTube. So it is at 2,498. I believe that's up to date. Let me just double check here by going to YouTube. On the screen in front of me, it looks like I'm looking at you, doesn't it? But I'm actually looking at my computer screen. Yeah, so I've got 2,498. So that is up to date. That is the number that you see here. So that will change. That will change eventually once the subscriber count goes up. We're only 2 away from 2,500. So that's pretty cool, I think. All right. So that's what the numbers are. Andrew is excited. Sure. His subscriber count. Yeah, you got it. Yes. Dash says, oh, and here I thought was a star date. No, not a star date. I have enough fingers. I don't need one of those. Okay. I have no idea what that means, but that's okay. All right. So we are going to take a quick peek at the armature and the pylon section, which goes on here like so. Now, when I did up the armature, don't worry about how messy this looks. I know that it's not the best welding in the world, but it works. I added this metal piece. So I added the steel piece on the end here just so that it connected a little bit more securely to the pylon section in the back and gave that some more support. However, we still have the wings of the pylons way far out, and we've got some weight on them with the nacelles. So I'm not overly confident that this is going to survive the test of time. So here's what the solution is. Let me take this off. Let me throw this aside. And let me bring this in. So I should move my coffee so I can get more of this in frame. This aluminum piece has been bent more or less to be the exact same curve as the pylons. So what we're going to do is, or what I'm going to do, I'm the one doing it. I don't know why I'm saying we, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hog out the width here, leaving space for wiring to go through here. So I'm going to chew all this out and create a trench that this aluminum piece is going to sit inside of. Now I can't sit it quite down in because it's sized exactly to the same size as the upper portion. The upper portion of the metal piece matches the upper portion of the pylon. So that's going to go in. That's going to go right up against where the steel piece goes, and we'll find a way of permanently attaching When it's time to attach the pylons to the secondary hull, we'll find a way of permanently attaching the aluminum piece to the steel piece that's in there. And probably what we're going to do is drill holes and run fasteners from the bottom with a joining plate over top, and use physical fasteners to attach that. That way, the pylon should stay nice and secure. And of course, the aluminum piece will also be fully epoxied into place. So that is the solution. I've got one of these made up for both of the ships. They are a little bit taller here. They sit above where the nacelles go, and I will trim them off as needed. But I also would like a little bit of it to go up into the nacelle. That way, I've got a really good way of securing the nacelle to the metal armature of the pylons, and then the metal armature of the pylons is secured to the metal armature of the ship as a whole. So I think, don't quote me on it, but I think this should be really nice and secure. I don't think that these pylons are going to sag or do anything. I think that they're going to remain in their proper shape for however long the models are in existence for. So let's get caught up on chat. Hey, Ken, Chase, Howard, etc. Trek says low subscriber count. Well, you know, not all of us are Wayne and have 80,000 subscribers on their channel, right? It is what it is. It's growing, and it'll continue to grow. It is what it is. Let's see. Trek Mod says, hey, Jordan and everyone, thanks for having me. I'll be quiet now. No need to be quiet. And Jordan just said the same thing. Let's see. How did you bend the aluminum? Oh, good question. I meant to show this. So let me switch over to bench view. Okay. So in order to shape the metal, I needed something that was the same shape as the pylons. So sampled it and created it in wood block form. And so through basically, and you can kind of see the clamp marks here, but clamped this down and bent it with a nice blunt object, like a big metal hammer. Bent it around. I've still got, you can see here, I've still got a little bit of shaping to do on these corners. They're a little bit tricky, but basically clamped this down like mad, and then bent them around the corners. And if you're curious, yes, this sits in here nicely like that, and it's pretty close. So there will be some fine adjustments I'm going to have to make. There's no way around that, but I've got this piece pretty close, and I've got the two of them. So I originally was looking to do it out of steel, but the aluminum's just that much easier to work with, and this piece is nice and solid. So I think that that's going to go in. It's going to give all the support that they're going to need, and we're not going to risk the pylons bending over time. Ken says Canadians are strong. No, I meant me. Oh, you meant me? You on subscriber count? You know what? Everybody's on the journey, and great way to help with your subscriber count is to network with people and build community, right? So let's see. Dash says I'm working on my D on the same area, but it's the fan home model. Yeah, I've got no suggestions for you on the fan home. I have not looked at it. And Ken says, how did you cut the wood? Well, my dad did in his workshop. That's the answer. My dad has a professional woodworking shop at his house, and I had to take my kid. I took my son there because we didn't have daycare on Friday. So Thursday night, I drove my son to my parents' place, and then I drove home not watching because I was driving, but listening to Jordan's live stream over the car. And Jordan and Todd entertained me all the way home. That was great. So I left this piece with him, and he has all the appropriate tools for taking the measurements of the curves and stuff like that. And so while between dropping my son off on Thursday and picking him up today, he got this piece done. And then while I was there, the steel wasn't working well. So I went out and grabbed some aluminum, and we did the brunt of the bending work this afternoon. So I am not exactly sure which of his many tools he used to cut it, but like this is inch and 3/4 maple, I would assume. I'm just guessing on that, but it looks like it's maple. Just a piece of scrap he had in the shop too. So let's see. Jordan says that's a great idea to support those pylons. Dash says, make sure you label that wood for future if you need it again. Yeah, there's always a chance I could build this kit again. Actually, I wouldn't mind at some point down the road getting a copy of the kit for myself to have that I could build for myself sometime when I have a bigger house to be able to display some stuff in. Nowhere in the near future by any means. Plus, I've got a 4.5 foot Enterprise B coming to work on, so which is a good 1.5 foot longer than the Enterprise D. Devin Smith is here. These large scale kits feel like actually constructing a starship, all that hardware. Yeah, it can feel that way sometimes. TrekMod says, I will rephrase, I have enough fingers to count my subscribers, so I do not require a counter. I was trying to make a joke at myself. Okay, got it. Comments out of context can be difficult just to follow when there's so many of them. So yeah, that makes sense. How many subscribers do you have, TrekMods? Let's see. Now, obviously, YouTube does not publicize exact. 318. So you're well on your way. And I see that you have your custom name for your custom address, so that you can just say youtube.com/@TrekMods. That's great. A lot of people forget to set that up, so you're good to go there. And yeah, you know what? Put out the best quality content you can. Pay attention to editing. Editing is important. Too many modelers who do YouTube don't edit. Some of the bigger guys don't edit properly. Like Phil on his final video for his Enterprise D, he was actually talking about me, and he couldn't get it right, and then he paused and then went back into it, but forgot to edit it. So pay attention to your edit. Keep your edits nice and clean, and you know, if there's bits of time where things are taking a long time and there's not really a lot of content, cut it out. Make your content lean, and that'll really help with viewership retention. I'm not saying like, you know, do TikTok type of quick cuts and stuff like that, and you're just like paste. But paying attention to your edit helps viewer retention, and people are much more interested in watching your content over many different videos and stuff like that. This is not a YouTube support channel. You are shaking your camera when you move your desk. Which camera? You know what? My overhead camera is on a completely independent thing, but it's leaning up against my desk, so it's probably getting some sympathetic vibrations being transferred through. So it's also sitting. The stand is also sitting right next to me, and I move around my chair, which is moving the wood floor that's on top of the cement floor of the garage here. You see, we've got like a 6-inch slope drop from front to back on our garage. I think it's 16 feet Well, let's see. 4, 8, 16. No, it's got to be about 20 feet. So over the 20 feet, the back end is 6 inches higher than the front end. I mean, yeah, there has to be a little bit of slope for snow melt and stuff if you bring your vehicles in, but that's a little ridiculous. So I've built a flat wood floor on top of the cement floor for the garage, and yeah, it's the overhead cam, and it's when I'm moving in my chair, that's transferring through the floor. So the camera that's actually mounted to the desk, it might be moving, but it's got stability control, so you're not seeing anything. It's compensating for any movement, which is great. You Canadians and your maple. My maple leaf logo. We do like, oh, and the maple wood. Yes, exactly. Got it. I understand. Trek Mod says I have 300 fingers. Okay. Edit isn't a 4-letter word. It's so important. Yeah, it is incredibly important. It dictates the pace and flow of your videos. You want to have a good pace and flow in order to be able to maintain viewer retention and really just maintain interest. So that's, if anybody ever asks me for any advice when it comes to video production on YouTube, when it comes to model building content, edit is key. And being creative with your edit is key too. I've actually, something came in the mail, and at first, when the notification was sent through to me, I thought it was the Big Enterprise B. Turns out it was a Sonic Saber. Thank you, Ken. But I got the first clip filmed for the intro for my unboxing video for when the Enterprise B arrives. So I've already been thinking through how I'm going to start off that unboxing video and what shots I'm going to need of different things that I can do before I get the video in. And like trying to be creative with your videos. Let's see. TrekMod says, yes, I spend lots of time on editing. I'm learning. I appreciate the tips. Thanks, man. DaVinci Resolve. I don't know what editing software you're using, but DaVinci Resolve is professional grade editing software that that is expensive if you have the fully paid version, but their free version is super good too, packed full of stuff. So I don't know what editing software you're using, but if you haven't checked out DaVinci Resolve, check out DaVinci Resolve. Well worth it. Let's see. Devin Smith says, this is good info for me too. Been thinking about making build logs on my Cascade Starships account, but for now it's just showcase for completed builds. Yeah, cool. I'm still doing everything. TrekMod says, I'm still doing everything with my phone, so I'm limited. Are you doing all of your editing on your phone? Because I film all my update videos. I film with my iPhone 11. No, I mean, not 11. This one up here is my old iPhone 11. Sorry, this is my iPhone 15. My iPhone 11 still works as a camera. That's why I'm using it as an overhead camera right now. But I was having connectivity issues with it, so it was a time to upgrade to a 15. And I do all my filming for my videos on my 15, and then I bring everything through Dropbox over onto my computer, and I edit everything in DaVinci Resolve. And it's super cool. I was actually thinking, I don't know if there's any interest in this, but I was kind of thinking sometime I might do a live stream of editing one of my update videos. So I don't know if there's any interest in that or not, but something I've been considering. Devin, I follow that one. Okay. Ken says, you're welcome. Yeah. Well, thank you, Ken, again. Dash, hello, Dash. Welcome to the stream. Yay. Andre can join the finger slicing of sabers. If you mean me, I am not going to do. I will make sure that I'm well protected when I'm using that thing. I understand. Every build, there is blood, sweat, and tears that go into the production of it, but I don't want that much blood going into it. Usually, the blood comes from these things when I'm cutting open windows or or something. This is where the source of the blood comes from. But there's always blood, sweat, and tears, but hopefully not. Let's see. Yeah. And everybody is speaking Temerian speech. Yes, phone typos. Yeah, you just missed the W. I assumed you meant me. Phil is always calling me Andy for some reason, so I've just started calling him Philly. I've in my intro video for my next Enterprise D update, I've actually referred to Lou and Phil as Uncle Lou and Philly. So yeah. Normally the stand for my camera is behind my desk on the cement floor, not on the wood floor, and I'm seeing that this is not going to work out very well because with it being on the wood floor, it is shaking a lot. So I will readjust that for the next live stream. All right, so we are 28 minutes into the stream, and I haven't actually done any of the masking work I said I was going to do on stream. So let's switch gear. Unless you have any more questions about this or about what I'm doing with it, I'm going to switch gears and start doing some on-camera masking, old school with blue 3M. Sorry, I should have said with 3M blue. And I'm going to make sure I've got my reference photos on hand here of the studio model. So give me one moment. I just need to grab those files on my computer. Hello, computer. Reference photos for the Enterprise D studio model. And I will throw these on screen for you as I make references to them. So I just need to find the first panel. I've got the first panel here. And let's make sure I've got my screen grab thing proper here. I need to resize it. Just the stuff off camera that you don't ever see. Positions, reset. All right. I think we're good to go on that. I can throw this over. So this is going to be the first section that we're going to be working on tonight. I'm just going to minimize my things. So if I go back to here, this panel right here equates to that panel on the Enterprise. Now, what I'm noticing here is interesting, and I didn't notice this the first time. And this makes me think that using the mask design, if you want to get this look, using the mask design masks might not actually be the best option the way that they are saying to use them. So I would probably suggest modifying it, but it would be difficult because what I'm noticing is you've got the panel color, right? So you've got the base color, which you can see my cursor, right? Yes, okay, good. So you've got the base color of the ship, which forms these pinstripes. And you can really see the pinstripe there in the shadow. Then you've got the panel color, but then the Aztec panel colors are actually darker. And I'm curious, now I'm really curious what I did on the last one. So let me pull up photographs of the last one I did, and I'm going to open these in a new window so I don't close the folder. Okay. Here's the last one I did. If we zoom in, and you know what? I did those as if they were the base color. So I clearly didn't know. Oh, never zoom in that far on a model. Never zoom in that close on a model. You're never supposed to see it that zoomed up, that blown up. So I didn't do that. Interesting, because if I go back to this, clearly the pinstripes are base color, but these panels are completely different. So these panels are going to take 2 additional paint coats to do. So let me just think through this properly here. Let me just catch up on chat for a moment. Oh, Danny's here. Welcome, Danny. Danny says, Jaw Andrew, hi chat. Why are we cutting masks? We are cutting masks because when I laid down all of the mask design masks, I did it all properly, but I didn't choose quite a dark enough panel for the base coat color to show up and be a contrast against. So I need to go with a slightly darker tone panel color so that the base color shows up same way as it does in the on the studio model there. Some of the areas actually you just could not see the accent coloring at all, and that just wasn't going to fit. So I had to pull all of the mask design masks off, but I've only got one set of mask designs. So for this section, I'm back to the old school just because I've already used up the mask design parts for that. I can't get replacements right now because Canada Post is on strike. So I know how to do it myself. I'm just going to do it myself, but I've shown how to do it with the mask design. So we're all good. Let's see. It's learning time, Trek Mod says. And Jordan says, how quaint. And Danny says, I see. And also, Danny, what I've just noticed is I did it wrong last time. I painted these panels wrong. And it would be very hard to paint these panels correctly using the mask design masks. So there we go. So if I go back to my previous build, you can see that I did the base. So I painted the panel. No, I did the base coat. I laid down the masks, including the Aztec paneling masks. Then I painted the panel color, pull the mask, and you get this. But it's 3 colors on the studio model. You've got let me go back to the studio model. So you've got the base color, which are the pinstripes. You've got the main panel color, but the Aztecs are a darker gray. So I'm going to do this three-stage coloring process here if I want it to be right. And of course, if I've seen it, I can't not do it now. So that's why we're back to doing it by hand. So that's not to say that the mask design pieces don't work. They do. I used them. They worked. It's just that I didn't get my coloring right. And now I'm seeing that I was just off completely on the color scheme for these panels. So I just have to fix it. I just have to fix it. There's just no other way. I have to. So, all right, we are going to get back to the model here, and we're going to start the process of hand masking. And I thought it might be interesting. Danny says, dang it, Andrew, now I have to do a 3-stage paint job as well. You're welcome, Danny. A service I provide. It's like finding those greebles on the Enterprise D. Once you see them, you have to add them, right? You can look at the studio model pictures a million times, and you're still going to find something that you didn't notice before. So here we go. Let's get into it. So what was I saying? Yes, I thought it'd be interesting to show the my old way of masking on camera, because I'm going to be showing the mask design on my next update. All right, I need the smallest. Well, I've got 3 sets of. Here, let me move my keyboard out of the way. Let me move this a little bit because we just want to be able to see the saucer. So what I've got in order to do this is I've got my metal straight edges. I've got my 3M blue masking tape, which is my preferred masking tape for doing the Aztecs. And I have this is a Cricut pad. It was the only almost white color cutting mat I could find at the time. And I'm using this because it makes seeing the blue tape in the small little bits we're going to need for this much easier. So these are the tools, along with a very sharp, let me just make sure I've got the one that has the new blade here. Here's the new blade. I'll stick the other one over there. So these are the tools. This is all I need in order to do the Aztec panel masking by hand. So yeah. Danny says, yeah, you just have to add them now. No way around it, I'm assuming is what you meant. It cannot be unseen. Yep, I got to do it. Got to do it. Now that I've seen it, I've got to do it. So we're going to start with the pinstriping, which is probably the hardest part of the whole deal. So what I'm going to have to do, the way I'm going to have to do this is I'm going to lay over all of the pinstripe first, which might be the only thing we do today. But I'm going to lay over the pinstripe on these panels, and then I am going to mask the outside of the panels and the sections in between, and I'm going to lay down the darker Aztec panel color. So if we go back to the studio model, if we go back to the image of the studio model, that's these panels. So I'm going to find a color for those panels, and I'm going to lay those panels down. So just to clarify, first I am masking off the pinstriping because it's the base color. I'm going to mask all the way around, and then I'm going to spray down, after the pinstripe is on, I'm going to spray down this darker gray color. Then I'm going to go back through, and I am going to lay down the masking over top to create these shapes. So again, that'll be done with the 3M blue. I'll mask those off to protect the darker gray. Then I'll go back over it with the medium of the gray colors to give the panel color. Everything will come off, and hopefully we will reproduce this 3-color pattern all the way around this ring. Okay. And while I'm at it here, I'm going to record a quick segment for my videos. So in order to do that, I'm going to turn off my overlays, and I'm going to click record. And hopefully this will work. So caution, YouTube voice is going to be activated. So what you saw before in that clip was using the Mass Design masks to create the paneling here. Now, when I pulled all of the panels, all the masks off the panels, you couldn't see any difference in the color. That's my fault. What I did was I didn't use high enough contrast between the paint colors so you could properly see the differences. Now, I've also discovered another issue with these panels. You see, I always assumed that it was a 2-color paneling, and I don't know how I missed it the first time around. You see, this is a picture of the last Enterprise E that I built, and you can clearly see the outside ring here is just 2 colors. Don't mind it, it's super blown up. It's never supposed to be zoomed in this close. But if I go back to the studio model here, that's not the studio model, this is, you can clearly see that there's a 3-color tone going on here. You've got the base color, which forms coloring of the pinstripe. Then you've got the medium gray, which is the panel color, but then you've got a slightly darker gray, which forms the Aztecs. So Now that I've seen that, I can't unsee it. I have to reproduce it. We've pulled off, and you couldn't see the coloring in these sections anyway. So I've pulled off all those masks. Now I only have one set of the masks. So I want to make it clear. The masks are good. The masks will work. Use the masks. But I've already burnt through my mask for these sections. So we're going to go back through and mask this off the old-fashioned way so that we can get this done properly. What we're going to have to do is, I've already got base color done. We're going to mask the pinstriping first. Then we're going to go through and put the darker of the two grays down. I'm going to then mask off the little panel designs. We're going to go over with the medium gray color, pull that off, and then that should reproduce what we are seeing here on the studio model. All right. And hopefully that's worked properly. Before I go any further, bear with me. No, there's no bears actually here with me, but just bear with me for a minute. I need to make sure. I should have checked this beforehand. Okay. It may not have actually recorded anywhere. Nope. Today's 14th December. I'm just going to double check that it actually recorded properly here. And hopefully this will work. Yeah, it worked. Good. We're good to go. Clip recorded. All right, let me catch up on the chat. Danny says, could you also use the small panels from the rest of the mask design set to supplement? It's going to be thrown away anyway. I could. That's a possibility. I'll get the pinstriping done first, and then maybe I'll give that a try, because I had started taking these out, but I do have all of these still left to take out, so maybe I could repurpose those bit parts. We'll see. Well, the thing is, they do get quite damaged when you take them out. Quite often, a lot of the time, they get damaged when you take them out. So that was Devin that said that. Devin said, could you also use the small panels? We'll see, but they're not in the greatest shape once they get taken out of the off the mask, off the backing. Did you want your logo on your recording? That's going to be done on post. That's why I took it off, so that I can add it on post, because it's not where are we here? This is not necessarily the size that it will be in my editing studio, in my editing suite. So I think this is larger on live stream than it is in my editing software. So I want that all to be consistent. So I will add that on afterwards. Andrew is so enthusiastic. I love it. Well, thank you. All right. Let me refill my tea Earl Grey hot from the pot here. The teapot, not the Justin Trudeau variety. There we go. Oh, yeah, I'm not keeping my camera stand there. No way. I just bumped into it and shook the world. Trek Mod says, I figured out how to make a logo last week. Very cool. Very cool. And I'm assuming that's your logo that shows up in on the chat, right? Very cool. Okay, pinstriping. First thing we have to do is create the pinstriping. So I don't want to make it too long, or it's not going to be manageable here. You may see the top of my head. I'm going to line this up on the mat as straight as I can, using the cross sections to line it up so that we get some nice straight cuts. You do have to get down pretty close to it so that you can make sure that it's nice and straight. It's the same thickness, same width all the way along, and that you're doing it the size you want it to be. There we go. I think that's right. You also have to make sure that your blade is nice and sharp and stays against the straight edge. Because this is what you're dealing with. And we just lay it down like this. We bring it to the edge. And again, you want a very sharp number 11 blade. And cut it along the right angle. Just enough pressure to break it. I don't know. Can you guys see that on cam? I don't know if you can see that. Good evening, Todd. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. So hopefully you can see that. Let's see if I can just reposition this a little bit so that you can see that a bit better. So that's what we're doing. And we're just going to follow this around. Actually, I'm going to cut a wee bit more off because I cut a little bit too close to the edge. You also have to be careful not to cut the paint, which I might have done a little bit there. But it's the part that's going to be repainted anyway. So fortunately, on that particular area, we're good. When I take my glasses off, I can't see the chat. Okay, Jordan says, yeah, can see it. Dash says, oh, it looks like we were doing a slow approach to the ISS with that camera move. Ha. And Dash says, good morning, Todd. Okay, next section. Oh, this brings back so many memories. I spent untold hours doing this on the last build, but I had to do the whole thing this way. Bad sort of afternoon for me at this point. Helped Jordan get his website started this morning. Very cool. Is it live yet? Can you actually go and see it yet? I didn't quite get that one cut all the way through. There we go. I need to get bifocals or something so I don't have to take my glasses off to do this all the time. Jordan says, it's live, just not a lot on there yet. Todd says, it's like a house being built. Walls are up, but needs furniture and a coat of paint. Got it. You know, if either of you guys want to come on and chat while I'm doing this, you're welcome to. Just remember, it's E for everyone. There we go. Devin says, talking about websites, how did you do yours? A little off topic. I apologize. If you're referring to me, Devin, let me pull mine up. Mine's here. Oh, let me turn my first camera off. Mine's here. Just a very simple website, and I need to update a little bit, but it does the job. I need to update the latest videos. That's not a big deal. I've got an about section, just talks about me, what I do. I've got a gallery with previous builds on it, like the Enterprise E there. And a contact us page. Very simple. It serves my needs. And I used to use Hostinger for my website, but I've actually got a suite of content creator tools now that can handle a lot of different things, and honestly, it handles much more than I'm using it for right now, because I'm still learning the suite of tools. But one of the things it does, along with everything else it does, is it'll host my website. So I just recently switched over to that. I basically redesigned it in a similar manner to what my old website was. But it's nothing fancy, but it works. One of the cool things that I do want to take advantage of at some point is all of, let me just go back here. So, for example, all these sections here that are photos behind different sections, like all those photos, those can be videos. So once I get like the big Enterprise Ds done, I might do some beauty shots with the good cameras and have video backgrounds on those, which I think would be cool. Let's see. Todd says, you watch Jordan will change the floor plan a few times along the way. Girlfriend and her kids are over here gaming and about to grab dinner, so I can't join tonight. No problem. Dash says, please no Suno music on the website. Well, there's no music on mine. Technologically speaking, I mean. How did you do yours? Yeah, so I use a suite of tools called Content Creator Machine that's got a bunch of stuff geared to content creators. One of the things is web hosting and web building. And like any good website builder now, you open up a basic template and you make it your own by dropping stuff in. Super easy to do. So Todd can't come on to chat, but I mean, Jordan, if you want to come on to chat, you're perfectly welcome to. Let's see. Dash says you're going to have to update your Enterprise E now with this one, so it shows the correct details. Yeah. When I do new builds or updated builds, all the photographs will be brand spanking new, and I'll definitely update all the pictures and stuff, right? Devin says, oh, that's cool. I'll have to hunt around then. Thank you. And Ken says, Andrew, I sent you a link for a handy tool you could use for cutting your masking tape. I know Jordan got one as well. I will have to check that out after the stream. And Jordan says, be right in. Very cool. I will throw my headphones on, my AirPod in, and make sure it's connecting properly so I'm not getting speaker noise. And I am going to mute my audio in my other software. Just a quick check. Can you still hear me? Please let me know if you can still hear me, or am I just making weird movements with my mouth? Can you still hear me? Can you hear me? I can see you and hear you just fine. Okay, perfect. I just had to make an adjustment so that I wasn't hearing myself talk in my ears. Let's see. Yeah. Todd says, Jordan and Andrew in the same place. Black hole inbound yet. Loud and clear. Perfect. All right. So Jordan, you should be able to join with audio and not interrupt the video. You should be able to. I'm seeing a weird thing on his screen. I'll let him sort that out. All right. Here we go. So far, I've almost just got the pinstripe around the outside. In case you're wondering, this is a super fast process. So Jordan, you're not in yet, FYI.
Although, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right. Yeah, you know, it helps if I add myself actually to the stage. I didn't add myself with no audio, so there's that.
Well, because you can all if you we've got it set now so that if you add yourself with no camera, it doesn't even put an avatar on the screen for you.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm just kind of hanging out in the background, so if that works, that works.
Very cool. Gives me
All
somebody to
right.
talk to verbally while I'm doing this.
So now, real quick, Jordan and Andrew in the same place. Black hole inbound.
Yeah, apparently.
We're not helping with the narrative here, although actually maybe we are, because we're both talking at the same time. Like, if you talk and I talk, oh buddy. Say, oh no. Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. I'll
Yeah.
be here to help read some comments for you so you can actually do some work. So
Very cool.
excellent. Yeah,
This is definitely this is the type of work that goes really quick. You don't have to pay much attention. And
I can tell you, I was going to comment. There's a couple times I almost commented on it. I have this kit now, and I was thinking about doing it sometime in the next year. And watching what you're doing right now is, saying, maybe we can hold off on that for a little while.
well, so let me be clear. So far, the mass design kit is working fine, and it looks like it'll do a fine job. What happened is that I didn't get the coloring right, and so the initially going on my on what I always thought was the 2-color scheme, I didn't get enough contrast between the 2 colors of paint for you to actually be able to see the detail.
Oh.
And I only have one set. I currently only have one set of the masks in the shop. So it's not like I could just grab another set and replace them and do it properly.
Right, and you can't get them shipped to either right now.
Yeah, we have no mail right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not going to perlate to me like just the masks that I need replacements of, right? So
right.
I know how to do this. I did the whole ship this way last time, so I might as well just fix where I messed up doing it the old way. But then I saw that it's actually 3 colors.
Yeah.
And so if you want to do it the 3-color way using, and I'm pretty sure that I'll have to go back through and really take a good look, but I think the 3-color is just on this outside rim here. So to get the 3-color, I don't know that using the mass design masks on this section anyway would give that. So if you just want to do the 2-color, it'll work brilliantly for you. It'll be a lot faster than doing this. But if you want to do it the way the studio model is, then you're gonna have to roll up your sleeves and do some work.
For sure. Well,
did you
say it's an incursion?
Did you see the photo of the studio model I popped up on screen?
I did, yeah. And it's very interesting. Like, I'm thinking like as a modeler in like probably 94, 95, 96, somewhere in that time period, like we're
just
looking
had access to them.
Right. Not just that, but like their thought process behind the design of the ship. Like I remember when the Enterprise E came on screen for the very first time, like it was a moment. Like when we saw First Contact in the theaters, it was a moment. And one of the things that stood out to me was the paint and how intricate the paint was on the ship. And yeah, it's very, very interesting. Just how detailed it is, especially when you zoom in close on the model like that. It's insane.
Well, it's probably one of my favorite Federation ship paint jobs.
Agreed. Absolutely. It's the Sovereign class is probably, I got some preferences, but I think overall the Sovereign is a top 3 ship for me.
Yeah, I think so for me.
At least, like it's just the culmination of like everything we saw in the next generation and everything.
Yeah, well, I like that era of ship. My favorite, currently my favorite ship is an Akira class, which comes from the First Contact movie, right? So same era of ship design. So it's my favorite right now. I mean, favorites change, but currently it's my favorite.
So Devin's saying, can attest the mass design set is wonderful to work with. Currently weeding out for the secondary hull right now.
Yeah.
He's saying you can ask Gary for replacement sheets if you give him a sheet number, but that's ignoring the postal problem. Yep, that's a whole thing.
Well, I had an issue with this long one up front here. It all turned to spaghetti on me because I struggled to get, because it's you really have to play with the curve here, and I didn't get it placed down quite right, and then fixing it was a pain.
Working with mass design stuff is really challenging to begin with. Nice stuff, but it is challenging to begin with. I'm not surprised you have that problem.
Well, it's simply because of how, like, look at the pinstripes I'm putting on here, how thin they are. So think about that cut into the vinyl, and then you're transporting the whole thing, trying to lay down this big long section, and it is a learned skill, and it takes a while to get the right just way of doing it down pat, like to get a rhythm with it. So Ken says, Jordan, you have a display masking tape cutting template. Do you think that would help Andrew?
I do. Although in this context, like, it might help with, it's really good for, at least what I've seen so far, for cutting perfect circles. Like if you want to have a perfect circle masked off, it is perfectly ideal for it. And it has a measuring tool on the side of it, so you don't have to, like, you literally can measure on what you're trying to cut or cut for, and use the tool itself to do both the measuring and the cutting, which is cool. Although for the pinstriping that you're doing right now, I'm taking notes on how to create super thin pieces of tape, because I just probably would have bought that if I'm being real.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you'll find tape that thin.
I've actually got tape thinner than that.
Yeah.
It's 1/64 of an inch, and that's probably pretty close. Yeah, it's was used for the nacelles on the 900 scale Enterprise D, and you put it in between the grills to kind of create, when you put the copper over the top, to get the thin blue lines that are clear when you're doing the nacelles. So I wonder how thin that is.
0.44 millimeters is what I've got right now.
0.44. Let's see what that is. 0.44.
I mean, that's as close of a measurement I can get on it at that size.
11/25. That's an interesting one. Huh. Okay.
Well, I just eyeballed the width, right? So it's not going to be it's not going to be like a proper size of anything.
Of course. Yeah, it said that stuff is super thin. I really like that technique, like just using a straight edge, and it's creating some nice clean lines.
Yeah, you just have to make sure that your number 11 is super sharp.
Yep. Ken's also saying that looks like Canada Post may be back to work this week.
Without going into a bunch of political stuff, they might have a hard time doing that without triggering an election. So I'm not holding my breath on that. Because they can't legislate something like that right now in the House of Commons, because it would be considered a little bit of how our parliament works. It would be a matter of confidence if they tried to legislate back to work legislation, and the only party that is really keeping the government going is very much on the side of union and workers, and they would have a very hard time supporting the government on that. And so I don't think that they're going to, I think that, like, it's going to be very difficult for them to pull that off without triggering an election here in Canada. So I know that doesn't make a lot of sense to Americans, because our parliamentary system works very differently than the US system does. So yeah, it's a bit complicated.
It sounds uber complicated. Yep.
Yeah.
Dash is saying, so you can leave the masking you're doing and just add more mask over it for the next set of coloring, and then pulling it all off at the end.
Yeah,
that...
so because the pinstriping is, if I go back to the studio model picture here that I'm currently using to find my my placement of the pinstripes. The pinstripes are base color, and so these panels are currently base color. So I'm going to do all the pinstriping first. Then I'll put the so there's the very light, almost insignia white base coat color here. Then there's a light gray color, and then there's a bit of a darker gray color. So once I get the pinstriping in, I will paint this over with the darker of the two grays, and I will then place down the little fiddly bits on, which will cover the darker of the two grays, and then I'll spray it with the lighter of the two grays, and then I'll pull everything up, and then you'll get this 3-color pattern.
Very cool.
It's going to be even more challenging on the E to get on the B to get all the various colors going on, because there's a lot going on the E and the Excelsior when it comes to multiple paint colors and paneling and stuff like that. So that'll be a fun job to work out painting. Oh, I'm gonna.
How many coats do you put down per layer? Like, how many coats of paint are you putting down?
So I did a really good base coat, but I've been able to save on base coat paint because it's gray primer. Then I went over the gray primer just with white acrylic, just to bring the tones of that dark gray primer up, and then that way I didn't have to put as much of the base coat coloring down for it to have full coverage, because it already had white underneath. Now I didn't do a full white coat, so when I did the white coat, you could still see like a bit of patchiness, but it was enough to bring it up so that the base color didn't have to work as hard.
Very cool.
Yeah. So what are you working on tonight?
I was working on doing some website stuff, and then after this, I am going to be working on the nacelles for the Enterprise D. So doing the fan home D. Basically taking all of the stock wiring and all lighting and replacing it, and following along with Todd's mod on his website, and replacing it with a cob and the breathing red LEDs for the Bussard collectors. And basically spent all week kind of burning in all of my LEDs and getting them ready to go. And so that's pretty much what the name of my game tonight is, basically getting the nacelles ready to go. I've gotten quite a bit of progress done on both of those models after finally being able to get back into it. So that's what I'm doing. A lot of website stuff today. It was kind of getting my head around. Like, Todd gave me like a 3-hour lesson on website design and building through WordPress, and it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I've been kind of working on my first post. So
okay, so you're using WordPress?
Yeah. Trying to find a format that works, and kind of like I guess like a layout that is going to work for what I'm going to do. It's kind of like a blog in a way, and you can kind of follow along with individual builds. So
so my last website was essentially a WordPress website, but I was using, so it was a WordPress website using Elementor as the interface for building it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just at the very infancy of this. Like, some of the stuff, like, it all seems very on the surface, like it's all things that you've done through various things and other websites and all of that. So like all things that I'm familiar with, just putting it all together seems very like it's a lot. Like 3 hours was a lot with Todd, but Todd's really great at teaching. And so it was like, it was great. But now, like, going back into it, I'm like, oh yeah, he said this about that. And so where was that? Oh, it's over here, but that means that's this. And then it's been interesting just trying to like figure out how to like just put together the first post and like add all the elements to it and make sure you're doing it right. So,
well, website building with all the tools that are available now is so much easier than it ever has been.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I can't click on the thing here. Rod Charon says, doesn't Andrew have a cameo? He can cut any size strips he wants. Yeah, but actually, funny thing, the blue, when it comes down to stuff this size, the 3M blue sticks better than the vinyl does. So when you get really thin like this, the vinyl doesn't stick as well. There just isn't enough surface for the adhesive to grab. But the 3M blue painter's tape, even being cut this thin, sticks quite well. So, and Danny said, we're both trying to do it at the same time. Danny says, Andrew, how do you make sure you cut those pinstripe lines at the same width? By eye, Danny, by eye. And by the time you get through the whole strip, if you're going to do it with blue, with 3M blue, you get pretty good at eyeing it up, just like a chef gets good at eyeing up portion sizes when they're cutting meat.
Yep.
All right. This goes about here.
And you're using all lacquers, you said?
No, acrylics.
Oh, acrylics.
I'm not using, except for the things I absolutely have to, I'm not using lacquers when I've got young children around.
Ah, yes.
So I mean, there are the clear coats and stuff like that where you really kind of want to, but where possible, I avoid it. And the funny thing is,
you don't have to use vinyl only with your cameo. You can take your cutting clear piece of plastic and just cover it with your blue masking tape and cut wherever you want.
Yeah, yeah, you could, but you know what? You actually get, and this might sound counterintuitive, but if you use a metal straight edge, a very sharp number 11, and you're precise, you get a much straighter cut doing it this way than you do on the vinyl cutter. Because if you look at the pinstriping on the mass design, you see the slight variations because the vinyl's moving, the cutting blade's moving, and there's a lot of variables that make it, and it's not to the point where most people would care or notice, but if you're a detail-oriented person like me, you do notice. So you actually kind of get a straighter pinstripe doing it this way. But most people aren't going to take the time and effort to do it this way. I'm just one of those crazy people that doesn't mind doing this. So
hey, you're saying I do it all the time and can lead a horse to water. So for painting, then, do you are you using airbrushes or what do you use for painting? Airbrushes, nice. What do you use?
As far as a brush or a paint?
Yeah, brush.
Right now, my brushes
I meant to ask you for a long time, actually.
The Crescendo 175.
Oh, nice, very nice.
And it's a bottom feed cup.
How do you like that?
I mean, I'm used to it.
Yeah.
So the only thing is if you don't get it in there right and the cup falls out and splatters everything when it lands. So I've got splatter marks on the floor from where that's happened a couple times. That's why I'm wearing I'm wearing my green Adidas shoes right now, but I switch over to my grungy white and black Adidas shoes for when I'm doing paint in case I drop the thing on the floor and get paint all over the place.
Nice. What sort of paint is actually good for what you're doing here? Like, what is the amount or
so I've had
brand?
like with this, I've actually had really good luck with the Vallejo hair.
Nice.
Some people like it, some people don't. I've found it works pretty well for this particular type of work.
It looks really good. That's why I was commenting on it, because like it's a really nice, smooth, even coat.
Now it's I did kind of go over the base coat a little bit just to kind of brush it down.
Yeah.
And you do get the edges and stuff a little bit when you're doing the small detail panels and stuff like this, like what's on this, but they got that on the studio model too. So you kind of just take that as what it's supposed to be and move on.
Right.
I thought this would be interesting for people to see
live
as I'm doing it.
Dash is saying it's like watching Uncle Lou. He can slap down masks very fast.
I'm a lot slower at everything than Uncle Lou is. I'm also a little bit more CDO when it comes to this stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
In case you're wondering, that's OCD in alphabetical order.
That's
so
awesome.
That's pinstriping on one of these panels done.
That looks great.
And that's what it looks like.
Very nice.
So once I get this pinstriping done all the way around, and it's going to take me some time. Fortunately, I'm off work this coming week, specifically so I can try to get work done on the projects. So I've taken a week holiday leading into Christmas. Oh, that reminds me, bit of a, how should I say, a bit of a, that's the wrong thing. Wrong screens is just a service I provide. So just a bit of a programming note, there will be no live stream next Saturday as we have some family obligations on the Saturday when I would normally be live streaming. So you will not see a live stream, but I'm hoping that I might get some other video stuff out during the course of the week. No promises, but no live stream next week, which if I pull my calendar up, that is the 21st, but we should be back on with a live stream on the 28th. So we should be good to go. Now you're live streaming on Boxing Day, aren't you, Jordan?
I am. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Good to know.
I was actually kind of like, and it's also going to be what, New Year's Day as well, I think. Is it
No,
it's no, second.
The second.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, because I was worried about not be able to do that without
Christmas Day and New Year's Day are always the same day of the week because they're 7 days apart from each other, right?
Yeah. Yep. It's always that the 2 weeks, like it's always Christmas and then New Year's and then back to life as we know it.
So yeah, so just no live stream next Saturday night. I'll probably put a community post up on my channel about that just so that people are aware. It's the time of year, a lot of stuff happens. I'm just really going to try to be careful to get through the Christmas season without going off track with the weight loss journey that I'm on. So
good luck with that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm over halfway to my goal, so
that's fantastic, man. Blair says, "Hey,
hi Blair, how's it going?" Oh, Blair, sidetrack. I need to do a sidetrack for Blair because Blair is going to want to see this. I just clicked onto the wrong thing here, so we're going to backtrack to the beginning of the stream for Blair here.
Oh, excellent.
So, because Blair is receiving one of these Enterprise E's. So, Blair, something I did today. So I'm not confident. Let me go back to bench view here. those of you who were here at the beginning of the stream, I apologize. You're getting a rehash of what was happening at the beginning of the stream, but I do want to go over this for Blair. So pylons on the 650D. I am not confident that the resin is not going to warp and droop over time. So you know that there's the metal armature in the secondary hull, and the back end kind of overlaps onto this piece to give this piece something to really be strongly attached to. But I'm concerned about the wings bearing the weight of the nacelles for years. So we have aluminum strip, which has been shaped over this piece of wood, which has been cut to fit the contours, and that's a pretty good fit there. And then, so the aluminum strip has been shaped over top of the wood block here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hog out the depth of the, let me get this in here, hog out back here. I'm going to leave the channel for the wiring because we do need to get wires up to the nacelles. And I'm going to hog out the thickness of the of the aluminum material here. I did try doing it in steel. That I do have a piece here. And we were fairly successful, but to get that exact to lay in there, it's so much harder with the steel. So we are going with the aluminum. So this is going to be inlaid into the top surface of the pylons. It will be probably secured. So the back end of the armature comes to where this line is. And then this piece here, let me just toss this piece here, will go and butt up against the back end of the armature. And I don't want to weld because that's going to damage the plastic part here. But we'll probably run a piece across from this piece to the armature and attach it with physical fasteners. And of course, the whole thing's going to be epoxied down really, really well. So that should give these pylons all the support they're ever going to need so that they last as long as the rest of the ship does. So I just wanted to let you know that's kind of what the plan there is. So these do need a little bit more tweaking as far as the curve and the bend and everything goes, but we're probably 90% of the way there. And I'll just play with it as I'm embedding it into the pylons here, so that it lays flush or just underneath the surface so that I can putty it all in, make it nice and smooth. And then hopefully by the time I'm done, you won't even know that it's in there and it's supporting everything. So that's what we've been doing.
Are you going to be, is the top of the post going to be going into the nacelles themselves
Yes.
as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now it's too long right now. That's still on there because the longer these are, the easier it is to bend the curve. So they will get trimmed off, but they will. The goal is that they will go into the nacelle and will provide a really good anchor point for those nacelles to be really well secured to the pylons. And the wiring will just go in front.
That was the question I was about to ask. So your wire is going to be positioned right in front of it?
Yeah, so this channel will remain, and I'm going to hog out just directly behind it. And it just works out conveniently that this mark, which is just behind the channel for the wiring, is where the steel strip that's on the metal armature ends. Because I wanted this piece attached to the metal armature of the ship.
Yeah,
so
that's a great design.
Then that's going to be physically connected with fasteners, epoxy down. Should be nice and strong. So
yeah, Blair seems to think so as well. He says nice, looks strong, love it. And In modeling, that wood shape bend around would be called a buck, ironically.
Yeah. So it's helpful having family that has a fully decked out woodworking shop. So. And
Now,
Blair, I did ask, and so he is willing to do the fine woodworking on the base. So we will just need measurements. So you'll just want to decide the size of your LCARS, and then we'll just have to work out all the measurements and your choice of wood. I know you were talking about mahogany. If that's what you want, then we can go with that. And Blair says, and may have some very exciting news about LCARS panel printing on acrylics. Stand by for that. Sounds good. So so we're working together on the design and the elements going into the base for this thing. So
now, correct. Did you say it was the main engineering? Was it the base, the main engineering, like the
no
display? Okay.
No.
That would be pretty cool, though.
So there is going to be a main system display.
Okay.
So the cross section, the middle cross section of the ship, and then all of your controls to be able to trigger effects on the ship will be on the LCARS. But those really will be secondary controls because you're also going to be able to control everything through tablet, right? So with the inner lighting system, you've got the availability to control it all through tablet. So the touch panels on the LCARS are really going to be secondary controls if you want to like get up close and personal and do it, or you can do it from across the room from your tablet, right? Either an an iPad or an Android tablet. So yeah,
very cool.
So those are your updates, Blair, on the progress of the 650. I'm a little concerned for Uncle Lou and Philly with their Ds because they've got no support in the back end.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask you is like, do you think they're taking notes on what you're doing for a future possible redesign of this build?
You mean Helios?
Yeah.
Helios most certainly is taking cues from what I'm doing. And if you want proof on that, let's see here. Let me grab their Facebook page. Let me grab their latest video here. And you're not going to have sound because of the way that I'm currently routing sound, but let me play this. So they're coming up with a solution that they're producing based on the same kind of deal that I've done with the phaser effects. So they're definitely taking cues on it. So they probably won't actually change the like the way they've done the holes in the ship. They'll probably leave that to the builder to take care of.
Very cool.
If the builder wants to be able to do that, but they are coming up with a way of doing that. So they certainly are paying attention.
Well, now I think I remember when I was looking on their Facebook page, like the B, for instance, or the Excelsior class, like it's coming when it comes out and you're going to get it, it's going to have a much stronger support system in place. So you're not going to have to really engineer the model as much as you are just building it.
Yeah. So they've developed and Christian, who was on in the chat a couple weeks ago, did the design work for Helios for that kit, and so they've designed a full metal armature to go along with it. Devin says, I believe they said they're using 144 MAR GB tape. Yeah, I'd have to go into the description or the comments just to see what they're doing there. And I know that it's a silicone um, thing that they've inserted their LEDs into. So they're trying to come up with because the individual LEDs, the way that they originally intended for it to be done, you see those individual LEDs. Like if you look at Lou's build when he fires the phasers, it's not as butter smooth as what I've managed to get with the LED strip on its side. So you can see the LEDs on his strip. So you want to try to avoid that as much as possible.
And
yeah, 100,
there it is.
144 LED per meter. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the high like the super high density 5mm LED strip. The standard 144 per meter if you go with the super high density.
Wow. Ken's saying Lou had to rebuild his big resin Enterprise E a few years ago as the hull was warping, squishing due to the weight of the resin model on the resin hull.
Yeah, he was discovering, well, and that's poured resin, right? So that's a different thing altogether. And I don't think he put any sort of metal armature inside his original 650 Enterprise E, and I'm not sure what he did. I can't remember what he did on the rebuild. So,
might have to. I can't remember either. That was a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I have to go back and watch.
So I'm eyeballing this again for the width.
What's funny from our perspective is we can't even see anything. You can't even tell that there's a line there.
Trust me, there is.
So Devin's asking, is this a 650 scale E? And this is the 1400, right?
This is the 1400.
I couldn't imagine the 650E. That'd be huge.
Yeah, it is. I've got a 650 in the shop. It's just, unfortunately, it's not the clear kit.
Oh, Devin said, sorry, meant lose. Yeah, loses the 650.
Oh, loses the 650, yeah.
Ken's confirming. Very nice. I think I built a 2500 scale Enterprise E way back in the day.
Those things are
impossibly tiny. Impossibly tiny.
I don't like the size of those ships.
No, neither. This is like, oh God, 90s maybe.
I remember. So when I saw First Contact for the first time, it was at the Rideau Center in Ottawa, which is a mall, at the movie theater there. And I was quite disappointed that by the time we were done and out of the movie theater, all the stores were closed. Because at the time, there was a hobby store in the mall. And the first thing I wanted to do after watching the movie was go into the hobby store and see if they had a model kit for the Enterprise E yet.
Yep.
That was the first thing I wanted to do. But then, unfortunately, I never did end up getting one when I was young. Well, when I mean young, I was in high school.
Yeah, I think I was in high school when I did mine I was in high school for that one. Did they, when you saw First Contact, did they make like a big deal out of it? Because like even in my small little theater, it was like a big production. Like they had First Contact stuff everywhere. We walked through a Borg alcove with like black lighting as like the entrance to the theater itself. Like it was a big deal. Did you have that as well?
I don't think we did, at least where I watched it.
Huh. I remember that was the first day might actively let me skip school. And one sec, I just lost audio on my headphones. I'm going to switch over audio real quick. All right, I think I'm back.
Well, you're back in audio format anyway.
Yep, I can hear you too. Very nice.
Perfect.
I heard my thing pinging in my ear, and I'm like, oh yeah, I better figure out how to switch audio real quick.
Well, what I've been doing, because I've got probably first generation AirPods here,
Oh,
and so like the batteries are only good for so long, right? So the lifespan on the batteries gradually gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So for like HTM streams, I don't use them at all. That's why I've gone to push to talk, so I can just have all the audio on my speakers, and then I just push when I want to talk.
I've thought about that too, actually. And if you hear, you're on my speakers right now as well. So if you hear an echo, let me know. I can switch over to other headphones.
I don't hear anything right now. I don't know about the audience, but what I do for this, so like what I did last time when Todd was on, and right now with you, is I've got one in one ear, and so when the battery starts going on this, I just swap ears.
Nice. Yeah, I was using my over-the-head headphones for the conversation with Todd earlier today, so I basically had the headphones on from the time that I woke up this morning until now. I'm surprised the batteries lasted this long.
Lovely. I need to get some professional in-ear monitors for work.
You know, I've never thought about going that route for audio. Huh. That's a really good idea. Especially for modeling when you're doing stuff too, because like you don't want headphone to pop out, land on the work surface or somewhere you don't want it to go. And if it's like hooked around your ear, then that's a great idea.
Well, for professional audio stuff, for like live performance and that kind of thing, you can't rely on Bluetooth because there's too much of a delay for live audio. So you have to go with the professional radio frequency based stuff for that. So probably go with a Shure in-ear monitor system, because having wedge speakers on a stage just creates a lot of noise, and you're stuck to your location if you're not behind an instrument or something like that.
Right, exactly.
Which, I mean, a lot of times I'm at a keyboard, but it'd be nice to get away from that. All right. These little things are the fiddly bits. Working around the
RCS.
Well, this is one of the nav light units. So a little detail that a lot of people get wrong on this is there's actually two lights. There are four lights. No, there's two lights.
Nice.
Here. So there's your, on this side, green, which is constant on, and that's inboard here. But there's the second one on the edge, outboard, that's the flashing white. So there's always the constant green and red. And then the right next to it is flashing white. Getting those lights in there is a pain. Next to impossible to get the saucer closed if you do it with fiber. You really have to use the 0402 SMDs in there.
Do you sandwich them together?
And to get those drilled without breaking between them is really difficult too. So that's just one. A lot of people just put the red and the green in. They don't worry about the white flashing. But if you try to do it with any moniker of accuracy, then that's what you strive for.
And that's because I guess it's for the formation and all that. So it's the outermost point of the ship. So they're going to have to put the flashing lights at the top, and the topmost point of the ship, the lowermost point, forwardmost point, the rear, the fore and aft, and then starboard and port. So very interesting. I never knew that detail, actually. That's really, really cool and something to think about for some other builds, especially this one, like obviously. But then I really want to do an Akira class. That's one of the models that I really want to do. So
Yeah. So I can't remember who makes the 1,000 scale Akira, but it may not be available.
I know there's some STLs out there for it, but I wonder about being able to actually light up resin prints and all of that. So something to think about for sure, and something to look into. I know that there's that. I think it's the same company that does the Enterprise G, the Neo Constitution, if I'm not mistaken.
Corner Shipyards.
Yeah, is it them?
No. Let me get this one piece down so I can finish the outside here, and I'll grab my Akira kit and see who it is.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Because one of the companies is available, but they're hard to find now because they stopped selling on Federation models. But then Federation models isn't running right now too. So
I've heard about them. Yeah.
Depending on which company it is, it could be tricky getting it. Give me one moment. I'll find it and grab it and tell you which group it is that make it.
Sounds good. We'll get caught up on comments. Ken says, but Ian could add, I'm assuming I'm going to complete the sentence, but Ian could actually complete a 1/2400 scale Enterprise. Pit Stain Hobbies, if you guys aren't familiar, he's working on 2 Enterprises and will probably never finish. Ian, if you're watching, you heard me. That's right. Ken says, you and I make a great team. Because, of course, we're like the same person. You mean you can talk on HTM streams? Sometimes, if you want to. Blair says, agreed. You guys make a great team. Thank you. Appreciate that. Devin said, with fiber, I had to drill at a steep angle, carve out some plastic out of the lower saucer, and then fill in the gap with putty after everything was sealed. I'm assuming to go ahead and sandwich those 0402s.
But the question there is, did you get both lights in?
So, Devin, all things considered, went smoothly because I foresaw the problem. Rod asks, why aren't you wearing a Starfleet uniform while you work on your Starfleet ship? That's really meta if you think about it. So perfect timing right there. Very cool. Starcraft models, huh?
Yeah, so Starcraft is the one that left Federation models, and they're selling direct. So I did find them. I don't remember where I found them again. But so they should be available. It's just a matter of finding out where they're selling.
Oh, look at that. Oh, cool.
So it's a resin kit. Obviously, it's a resin garage kit, so there's going to be some issues with it being a resin garage kit. So this is the saucer. There's the lower section, and so you can kind of get an idea of
the deflector on that ship is my favorite design, honestly.
Yeah, you can kind of get an idea of the size based on the saucer pieces here. There's a nice phaser array. I'd be curious to see. There should be enough room underneath there to get the 2020 LED strips in there, but the upper and lower phasers are really close together as far as where they're positioned. So it might be a one or the other. I don't know. We'll see.
I see.
But yeah, it's one of my favorite designs. Oh, here's one of the pontoons.
Oh, cool. One of the things I liked about the design, I don't know, it's like they obviously pulled the NX design a little bit from this design as well.
Oh, they totally did.
I really love that the pontoons. That whole look, like the whole fact that it's a torpedo and like basically an aircraft carrier in space is really, really cool. And that is such a cool design right there.
So that gives you an idea, and obviously nacelles will be added to that, but this gives you a bit of an idea of the size
Oh, that's
size of the thing,
fantastic.
right? So, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
thanks
a,
for
I will
sharing.
build this for myself at some point. This one I will keep.
Dash says, if I get a chance, I'm going to make the USS Johnson and USS Falcon secret projects in the works. Well, you just didn't make it secret anymore, Dash. Come on now. Devin said, yes, I have both lights in. Green, red inboard, strobe outboard. Very nice
Okay,
work.
good.
Modeler Magic is where his contact is. Thank you. I am writing that down. That's fantastic. Thanks, Devin. And Ken is asking what scale, and that was 1,000 scale on the.
That's the scale of Kira, yeah.
Yeah, that's such a cool design. It was kind of like almost a throwaway design that they just wanted to throw a bunch of cool new ships into the Battle of Sector 001, and it just for me it just became iconic.
Well, when they were looking at the NX-01, and I mean, obviously, the NX-01 is taken directly from that, but one of the producers was like, "Well, can't we just use that ship and nobody's going to notice the difference?" Forgetting that they're talking about Trek fans.
Seriously, like disconnected much.
Yeah. All right, so I need to find a close-up of the next section. So I've got the outside done. Now, one of the interesting things about using a masking set versus doing it by hand based on the studio model is the Aztec panels on... I'm just scrubbing through these pictures to find the next section I need. Hopefully I can find this section. On the studio model, they're not the same side to side. And anytime that they do either Aztec decal sets or Aztec masking sets, they make one side and then they duplicate it on the other. So I'm not seeing the section I need. I might have to refer to what I did last time, because I've got full coverage on the previous Enterprise E I did. Yeah, I might have to do that because it's the section back. It's a section back here I need reference for, but I'm struggling to find a picture of that section because I've got this. It's like this part here, and I had to get it from somewhere last time. The question is where.
Dash says another question without grabbing the Model D. Will there be enough room for you to run your wires to the rear nav lights on the nacelle across that flat bar?
I'm leaving the channel, the wiring channel that's already there. So all the wiring will go in front of the aluminum strip and into the nacelle that way. And there's not really going to be a lot of wiring. So you're going to have power going up each nacelle, and then you're going to have a data wire going up and possibly a data wire coming down. And then there's going to be 2 additional wires to deal with the flashers in the back, and that's it. And so when you're dealing with 30 gauge wire, you're not. So what's that? 5 wires altogether. Yeah. So 2 power, 2 for flashers. I guess 6. 5 if I do a common ground between the power for all of the smart LEDs and the power for the flashers, right?
Right.
So 5 or 6
Depending.
30 gauge wires. So there's more than enough room in that trench to run those wires up there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was a good question, Dash.
Unlike the E's, where we're running a separate data wire for every effect.
Wow.
So I might have to just zoom this one in, but I can't really. The resolution's not high enough to grab it from there.
It's interesting that they shot this outside too.
Yeah, that's caused a lot of issues.
Yeah, the lighting seems very strange.
Unless somebody has better photographs of this that they can send me on Discord. But I don't think Todd's taken photographs of this one.
And this one's in someone's private collection, right?
I believe it is now. I should have. I'm going to go back to the bench here. I should have pictures, decent pictures of the top straight down.
Blair is asking a random question. Does anyone know where the Christie's TNG model went? I heard a rumor Paul Allen collection.
It's in a personal collection, so I'll have to grab the pattern off of this.
Oh, cool.
Of course, the paint job does not look great when it's blown up this large.
Well, yeah.
But even like this is all painted and hand masked with the multiple color layers, right?
Mm.
So none of that was done with the decals.
Devin's saying I don't have the view of my collection either. Check to see if I could help. Thanks, Devin.
I'll have to go through my photos of the previous model just to find out, like, see if I've got a really good shot of what I did before. Because I'll just redo what I did before. So I'm going to leave this panel right now and just move on to pinstriping the outside of this one. So I'll have to do some digging.
So Dash is, I guess, clarifying on the question he just asked. I'm talking the very rear of the middle of those. Oh, so he's talking about the we're in the last stream where you were talking about the LEDs on the top and bottom. So is there going to be enough room to run the wire back like through the ship and then to the back there behind that? Because that's going to be after all your wiring for the new cells.
Yeah, I will get wires back there one way or the other, and I might have to run those wires under the metal. So I might have to lay those down, just dig a little bit of a deeper section to run those wires down. I might have to run those first and then lay the metal piece down. But that's a good thought. I will have to take that into account when I go to lay that stuff down.
Yeah, another great question, Dash.
Yeah. So this is the process. It's a bit time consuming, but if you've got the patience for it, you can get some really, really good results. Trust me, the mask design masks for this, although the placement can be a challenge in and of itself, it's definitely a faster process than doing it by hand here.
So funny you bring that up.
That's a good point, Ken.
So for anybody listening, Ken asks, was the pinstripes on the mask kit accurate? And do you have a photo of the masks in place?
This is the full color guide for the mask design kit. And look at that.
Wow. There you go.
That's a good shout, Ken. I can go based on that. Thank you.
Freaking genius, man.
The hive mind.
That's right.
But not in a Borg kind of way.
Well, maybe in a little bit.
Yeah.
Resistance sometimes is futile.
Oh, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. Getting the wrong screens is a service I provide free of charge. Just catch up on these last couple of chats here. Dash says you could slightly groove your aluminum and heat shrink those wires so you don't short it to the wires to the aluminum. Just to suggest, well, they'll be embedded in the epoxy because I will epoxy that stuff in there like nobody's business so that they don't move. All right, so it is just after 11 o'clock. That means I need to pack things in for the night because I do work in the morning and it's Christmas season, so it is a very long day for me tomorrow. So thank you everyone for joining the stream. I hope that you've enjoyed the stream. Thank you, Jordan, for coming on and giving me somebody to talk to and to bounce things off. It's so nice to have another voice in the ear while
absolutely. Well, thanks for having me.
Streaming here. So hope that you've enjoyed this. Hope that you've enjoyed this stream, everybody. If you did, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new to my channel or haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button today. Get me to 2,500 subscribers. That would be awesome. But for now, my name is Andrew. Your producer tonight has been Jordan. We are two separate people. It is true. But for now, my name is Andrew, and this is Canadian Starships. And I hope that everybody has a great evening. And because I won't see you again on live before Christmas, have a Merry Christmas, everyone.